Welcome back, HaloFollowers. Microsoft accidentally made a big mistake. They released a lot of internal emails and documents regarding the future of Xbox and Microsoft, and even talking about the gap between Starfield and Halo Infinite and other things that kind of caused the gaming atmosphere to be where it is right now. And I think it actually, for me at least, gave me some internal insight. I didn't even think it was going to be this interesting until I read into it. And I really think that it's worth sharing because it kind of gives you perspective on why not only is the video game industry struggling, but also Hollywood and everyone in general just lending out their IPs and why everything's kind of turned into a disaster. And so it's like not only is Halo having a hard time right now, but a bunch of other franchises are as well, including Star Wars, for example. So let's talk about this, jumping into this document by Kotaku. They break down the documents pretty well here, and I've highlighted a lot of them. So these leaked emails, Phil Spencer and Microsoft personnel discussed a possible acquisition of Nintendo. Personally, I think them acquiring Activision was just really not a good thing for the gaming space, kind of edging on a monopoly here. They say at some point getting Nintendo would be a career moment. It's just taken a long time for Nintendo to realize that their future exists off their own hardware a long time. And they also thought about purchasing Valve and Warner Bros. Honestly, I figured Valve would be the one purchasing Microsoft. I mean, they are so freaking rich, but actually they're only worth about 7 or 8 billion dollars, whereas Microsoft is worth like 10, 20 times more of that. But yes, Bethesda is working on the Elder Scrolls sequel. They're also talking about the Fallout 3 and Elder Scrolls Oblivion remake or remasters too. And they had this whole email where they talked about it was actually an emergency meeting to figure out on how to fill the gaps in the release schedule after realizing Starfield would not make it last holiday, right? Of course, it really does suck that they're not having these whole conversations about Halo, which just really does tell me where their priorities are. That Halo is on the back burner, and that is quite honestly the most frustrating thing in the world. I mean, what the heck is going on? What is the game plan here regarding Halo? And it seems like they're just so worried about turning Xbox into not really a gaming system that is competing with the PS5. There's even this document that I talked about a while ago, and I was very frustrated by it. He says that if you just build great games, everything will turn around. This is what other people are saying that he's talking about. And he claims that that is not true. If we just go off and build great games, all of a sudden you're going to see a console share shift in some dramatic way. So he's refuting this essentially, and that he thinks that that people have PS5s are just going to be married to that console forever. That there's no way to convert people over to your console, right? Well, how you do that is by having an exclusive game such as Halo or, something that does really well like Starfield. And that's how you get people to come over to the Xbox, right? PS5 still has exclusives that are nailing it. And I think if they made Halo Infinite, for example, an exclusive for the Xbox Series X, not that that's necessarily what I want, I think that would have been a great way to sell more Xboxes. I don't have an Xbox Series X, and there's a pretty clear reason why. There's really no reason to. There's no exclusives on it, right? But anyway, back to the leaks. They talk about how Red Dead 2, they thought that that was going to come in 2022. That didn't happen, or a port of it. And they also talked about how a lot of people have been leaving the Xbox Series X. I think that this whole, game plan, and I feel like Halo is the key to Xbox. And they've just kind of gotten so distracted. It's like what 343 tried to do with Halo is the same thing that why they're letting Xbox die in the way that it is. Why it has been taken over for the past 5-10 years by other consoles is because the other consoles are doing exclusives and they're doing them very, very well. And apparently this game plan with Xbox is not really quite doing it very well for them, right? So anyway, they talked about in this one email that there's a better product than what Sony has, not just on hardware, but equally important on software and platform services. I honestly disagree. I think the PS5 has a lot more to offer, which I kind of feel a little bit of arrogance in these posts that and then there's some documents. This is actually kind of cool. They talk about a fancy new controller that is universal, that will work on pretty much everything. And I think that's a great idea. I think the PS5 controller already does that, but yes, Microsoft is talking about the new Xbox, right? And that is probably coming in 2028. And if they release, they're probably going to use Halo as a release, thing for it, and that will be 2028. I hope to God we get a new Halo game before 2028. But I think what's most disheartening about reading this whole thing of documents is that there really is not a peep about Halo other than there being a gap between these games, right? I also do want to talk about this, which could actually explain what is going on with Halo. And so I think this was a document by Phil Spencer. He lays out how third party publishers failed to adapt to storefronts and now subscription services and are now trying to leverage giant risky investments, right? So, what is happening here in Hollywood in the video game franchise is that they did not find a way on how to take advantage of the new distribution system, like through Steam, the Xbox Store, the PlayStation Store. And so these AAA publishers, AAA in quotations, are really not that great anymore, are they? I mean, their games come out broken all the time. They are filled with microtransactions. They don't listen to the community. It's full of corporate filled decisions, like people that don't even play games, right? Just what's happening to Unity, right, where they're charging people what 2 to 20 cents depending on how much money they make a year per install, and Unity has gone completely insane, right? And so just gives us more of a reason to think that Halo would be moving over to Unreal Engine, since Slipspace Engine is clearly not working very well. Based on what I've heard, based on what I've seen, it seems that 343 may not actually be working on the next Halo game directly and rather assisting another studio in creating it, such as Certain Affinity. It really does break my heart that Halo doesn't even come up once in these emails. It really does make me wonder what in the world is going on. Perhaps they are starting an entirely new studio from scratch. I think that is probably not the best idea. We might just end up with the same situation with Halo 4, with a studio that doesn't understand Halo and will be trying to do something different. This is why I think that the next Halo game should be a side game, but regardless, getting off track here. Phil Spencer says AAA publishers are milking their top franchises but struggling to refill their portfolio of hit franchises. Most AAA publishers are riding the success of franchises created 10 plus years ago, including Microsoft, right? I mean, Phil Spencer has to know that this is true. They do talk about Halo in this specific part here. We keep talking about AAA a quarter in this service, and I feel like we are going through a gap of almost 16 months between big exclusive launches on our own platform. Halo Infinite being our last on December 8th, 2021. This is really a disaster situation for us given all that we've invested in content across the studios at our GP Content Fund. We need to learn from this and build a plan forward. So they actually do mention Halo right here at the end. In terms of learning, I think we need to get much better at the overall portfolio planning on our games with real honesty on dates. Doing this from memory from summer 2021 through December 2021. We had an amazing lineup of games: Flight Sim to console, Psychonauts, Age 4, Forza Horizon 5, and Halo. Of course, we do have this news from back in June of this year. Phil Spencer said, I want to say Halo is of lesser importance, but we have over 20 studios now. I'll go back to the years where I basically had 4 games: Fable, Forza, Halo, Gears, the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. We have a lot more games now. And he also said we've been pretty public about the leadership change at 343. You can kind of see that in some of the social things the team have been doing around seasons, but I don't want to force them to talk about their longer term vision until they're ready. I think you'll see some pretty cool things coming. So, regarding the future of Halo, including just like what's going on with Halo Infinite, I would say that's most of what we know besides like Season 5 stuff. We have not received a roadmap regarding Season 5, Season 6, Season 7, and with everything, with all the negativity been going on, I think a lot of people just figure that Halo Infinite is no longer being worked on half the time, which is a huge shame. So I would really like for 343 to get it together and start telling us what is going on with this game, and to not forget about us, and to not forget about the Halo franchise. Microsoft very much would appreciate that. Anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next one soon. Be sure to smash that like button if you ended up enjoying, and subscribe. Join me on the journey of following Halo. Peace.